Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Clutch Talk podcast /YouTube/ We Do It All. As always, I'm your host, John. Very happy to be here. My boy Jay, he's over there in the six. How you doing, my dog?
It's here. Playoffs are here, man. You know I'm doing great. We got my boy Junior on here. Talk some ball. So this is a real special one, man. To preview this first round of playoffs, man. I'm real excited. Let's go.
Yes, sir, man. Yes, sir. And hey, again, why it's so important for everybody to check us out on the YouTube, man. Because if you're on the YouTube, you see it. Who's here live and in person and direct with me, big bro, Junior. What's up, bro?
How you doing, brother? I'm excited to be on. I'm excited to come in. Best time to talk about basketball right now is the playoffs. We got to make that push, and I'm excited. I'm excited to see who's going to come out on top. No skin in the game this year, unfortunately, but it's all right. We still. Now we can watch a stress-free playoffs for the first time in a little bit.
Man, facts, man. Well, hey, man, like how Junior said, that's exactly what we're gonna do, man. Is we're gonna talk about these round one playoff predictions. And then we are also gonna recap these final playing games that we saw. So, my boy Jay, you ready to get into this, man? Y'all ready?
I'm ready.
Always, man. Always.
All right. So then let's get into the first game that we our first recap game, our first game that we saw here, Jay, and that was the Atlanta Hawks versus the Cavs. The Hawks beat them 107-101. And Jay, honestly, hey, I'm done doubting the Hawks, Jay. I'm done. I doubted the Hawks 4 times in a row, Jay. And you know what? There has to come a point in time where I just stopped doubting them, Jay. Let's talk about the game, right? So, I thought Jared Allen would play. He did. And, Cavs came out with that big energy on both ends, man, to make up for that flash start that they had when they played against the Nets. As a matter of fact, the Cavs outscored the Hawks in the first quarter 36-25, man. I mean, they're really hitting on all cylinders. Like, offensively, Lauri Markkanen was taking care of it. The first quarter started with 11 points, hitting 3 threes. Darius Garland was just absolutely picking apart the offense, and it's so good, huh? So good. And then on the defensive end as well, man, they were also getting it done, making it hard for Trae Young. I know in the preview I mentioned like how tough it'd be for Trae Young to go against that Cavs length, and that's exactly what it was. Early in the first, Trae Young had 4 turnovers out of the Hawks 7, man. But before I keep talking too much about the game, Jay, if you could tell me some things you saw either from the Hawks side or from the Cavs side, because I know you had even predicted the Hawks to even win this.
My guy Jay never picks against the Hawks,
man.
John Jr., it's just one simple thing. When a lot of times when it comes down to these series, doesn't matter who's playing who, the best player in that series takes over the game, whether it be elimination game, takes over the series, makes plays when they need to be made. And that's exactly what Ice Trae did, man. I had no doubt going in, and that's why I had the Hawks. They're undermanned. They were without their Robin and John Collins. But that doesn't matter to a guy like Trae Young. He didn't get it done. We're wondering when he's going to show up. I was wondering where he's going to show up in the first half. He didn't. He struggled. What do good players do? What do great players do? They make adjustments. They see how the defense is playing them, and they make adjustments accordingly. And that's exactly what he did in the second half. Just absolutely took that team apart. Beginning in the third quarter, where I believe he scored 12 straight points, it looked like the inexperience and the youth of Cleveland just started to show itself in that second half, and then progressed. And there was really no answer they had. I mean, they cut it to, I think they had it tied, or they'd even took the lead. But in my mind, the experience and, the Hawks getting as far as they did last year under McMillan and a lot of the same guys that they had in that bunch, despite let's not forget, they lost Clint Capella in that first half, which is a huge loss. They were still able to do it. Number one, they buckled down defensively. They were playing extremely physical. I mean, we saw Kevin Huerter. I've never seen him with that grit, but that's playoff grit. That's playoff tenacity. You can expect that night for night. And that's a team who's been there, done that. And Trae Young, just story of the game, honestly. Like, I don't really have much else to say. that's my summary. Trae Young taking over, being a superstar. Let's call him what he is at this point, and they're back where they originally should have been. And he knew there was no way that the Hawks would lose in that game because of that dude. So
I agree, Jay. I agree. It's that experience. I was talking to John about that too. I said you got these two teams are almost evenly matched up when you look at it, like skill wise. Obviously, they got their strengths and weaknesses, but overall, I think they're at about the same level of team. But the Hawks, they had that experience because they made a playoff run last year. They actually went total till they taking care. I mean, you remember Jay last year on the Hawks, like he was picking the Hawks over the Sixers. They're like, what? And he was right. So for sure, I know that that experience just makes a hell of a difference. I know it's technically not playoffs, but that's because the NBA chooses not to call it playoffs. To me, it's all the playoffs, and
that was a playoff atmosphere.
That's the playoff atmosphere.
That was a playoff atmosphere.
It's playoff stakes. Yeah. You need to win to go home. That's damn near Game 7. You describing a Game 7, win or go home. Playoff stakes. You go to the next round, and they brought that that playoff energy and took care of business. Like. It's going to be a much, tougher ask against the Miami Heat, but what's in front of them right now, they beat, and now they just got to move on to the next one and see how they can take care of it. Are you still taking the Hawks over the Heat? Oh no,
Junior, when you said that, it made me. For those of our listeners, I kind of did a little.
We got to stay tuned in. We got to stay tuned in because I know Jay's gonna have some good takes for that first round prediction.
All
right. Well, yeah. I mean, Jay, that was a perfect breakdown analysis of the game, and honestly, Jay, I have nothing to add besides the fact that man, like I need to. The last pod, I apologized to the Hawks because I was like, okay, well, if Trae Young doesn't get it done, then I was like, if Trae Young doesn't get it done, then they're not going to get it done. And then all these other players stepped up, and then I've just been doubting them over and over, man. And just I gotta give it to them for their level of maturity and be able to stay consistent because. I mean, like how you mentioned in that second quarter, that second half is when they really took off. Like the Hawks shot 54% from the field as a team in the second half and 42% from three. But in that first quarter, they shot 17% from three. So the consistency to just be able to stay at it, man, is huge. So, man, I'm done down the Hawks, man. They finally proved me wrong.
Hey, yeah. No, John, to add to that, bro, like, Dude thrives in hostile situations. It seems like we go all the way back to New York. I mean, he did what he did in Philly as well. They didn't get it down against Milwaukee, but Ice Trae loves that moment. Some players crack under pressure. Some players just shine like a diamond, and that's what he does. That's what he's been doing. So can't doubt him now. Can't doubt him anymore, I guess, Jay, for your case.
Man, I can't, man. They're undeniably great at this point, Jay. So, all right, man. So let's keep it pushing, Jay, and let's get to the next playing game for the West. It was a crazy Pelicans versus the Clippers. The Pelicans beat the Clippers 105-101. Man, I mean, that first quarter, Jay, that was just a Brandon Ingram show, man, putting on a ridiculous show, scoring 8 of 9 for 16 points. And I was even talking to Jenner during the game, like he's just one of those tough shot makers. That's you play good defense, but it's a great offense. Like it just still just a bucket getter, man. And then that second quarter was really kind of even hard to watch just as a basketball fan. Both teams played bad. Both teams nobody on either team shot over 34% from the field, but Reggie Jackson was starting to heat up. It was starting to get ready for that third quarter, Jay.
We were even saying if Reggie Jackson was going to take the Clippers out of this play-in and put them in the playoffs, you might have had a bag coming. This was a contract year.
Close.
Yeah. Man, he got and yeah, exactly. He got damn close, and that's exactly what I want to know because Ty Lue, I don't know what in the world he talked to them boys about at halftime, but in the third quarter, the Clippers outscored the Pelicans 38-18, and they made a massive run back, man. And then Jenner was because Jenner, we were watching the game last night, and then he mentioned man, like Marcus Morris is stepping up, and then that's when I started looking up at all these other players who really stepped stepped up in the absence of PG being gone. In just in that third quarter, Reggie Jackson 11 points, Marcus Morris 11, Robert Covington 8, Norman Powell 6, but more than just that, it was also the defensive presence I've seen from them. I mean, only allowing a timely 3-pointer, only allowing 18 points in a quarter, and two headhunt players like CJ and Brandon Ingram. CJ has 4 points, Brandon Ingram has 5, man. So in that third quarter, the Clippers got it done. But Jay, you say all the time, you say this is a game of runs, and that's exactly what happened, man. Welcome to the NBA, a game of runs, because the start of the fourth, the Pelicans go on a 14-run to come back from a 14-point game and ultimately end up outscoring the Clippers 31-17 in that fourth quarter to clinch out that last 8 seed. Jay, I don't know if you have anything that you saw from this game, man, but that was arguably the most exciting game of the day, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, both games delivered.
Both were so exciting.
Both games in their own way delivered on kind of being an excited elimination game, like Junior talked about, a Game 7 feel. Both of those crowds were rocking. Even the Clippers I was surprised, man. The Clippers even had a little juice in the crowd. But what I saw in that game, what I saw a lot in that game was, the youth and experience of New Orleans blowing that 16-point half lead, and then weren't able to grab the lead until the last 4 minutes of that game. But they made timely plays to get back in it. You think about that rookie, I'm forgetting his name right now, who made those big threes, hit shot after shot. You saw Alvarado getting in Norman Powell, which was one of their number one options, if not maybe their go-to guy, him and Marcus Morris and Reggie Jackson. Those three were really the ones who needed to lift the Clippers offensively, and they did for a stretch there in the third quarter. And then you look at the other guys who stepped up. CJ was doing his thing, what he did. And then, like you mentioned, Brandon Ingram. And I similar to the last theory or the last theme of what I was talking about last game, and Trey Murphy was his game, the rookie. I was blanking on his name. Can't forget that name anymore. He's a sniper. He's a sniper. Stay tuned for that dude, as well as Herb Jones. I mean, absolute monster. If his shot becomes consistent, he's crazy. But to go on to my point about the Pelicans, they had the best player on the floor, whether it be Brandon Ingram at times, whether it be Trey Murphy at times, whether it be CJ McCollum and other guys that stepped up. They clearly had the best player on the floor that night, and when plays needed to be made, those guys made them. B.I., we saw what he was doing. CJ McCollum saw what he was doing. And I just think that they were able to weather that storm. They accepted that run. They took Clippers' best punch on the road, which was surprising to me. I thought they would crack under pressure, to be honest, with no experience like that. And they were able to weather that storm and come out on top, man. Can't say too much about that. You saw what it meant to Willie Green, saying that was a big time game. And he really summed it up with his post game comments. He said it was an emotional game, a ton of highs and lows, but for us, our mentality, we're going to continue to fight and we're not going to fade out. And that's exactly what the Pelicans did to come out on top there, man. Big win.
I was surprised.
And now they got Phoenix. Now they got Phoenix. Congrats.
That's true. Those two things I was thinking about this game. One, I was surprised at how well Willie Green was able to make adjustments, because Ty Lue's a superior coach between these two, right? Mm-hmm. And I was even having a conversation with John yesterday, like when before he went to the Clippers. We were saying, man, the Lakers had a real shot at hiring him. They didn't. They fumbled on that hiring in retrospect. But I'm saying I don't think he was even that proven of a coach until he did what he did with the Clippers. So, full hats off to Ty Lue. I think that he did a hell of a job. But he's a superior coach to Willie Green, but I saw Willie Green be able to make adjustments, and the Clippers went on a run to take the lead. Remember, the Pelicans were up by quite a bit. I think they were up by 14 before the Clippers took the lead by 13, and the Pelicans grabbed that lead back. So, it's a game of making adjustments, of taking care of business, and Willie Green was able to do that. The Pelicans were able to do that, but like you said, Jay, is ultimately for nothing because either of these boys were going to get waxed by the Suns in the next round. So,
Man.
but at least they're,
Facts.
I mean, you
That's
you still-
experience.
You got,
That's
and you got to
experience.
play to win too. You know, it's not like you.
Absolutely.
No matter who's, it's not like, oh, it doesn't matter. It's a moot point.
Yeah.
You know? So it's good. It's good for the Pelicans, the young guns. I mean, I think it's. I don't know about the entire Pelicans roster, but I know at least for some majority of their roster, that's gonna be their first playoff series,
Absolutely.
right? So you'll be able to take some of those players and give them some playoff experience. It's just gonna pay dividends for the future, whether they're with the Pelicans and that team develops, or whether they go to another team, they're able to carry that playoff experience and kind of have that for future. For sure.
Quick question for y'all, and I love that talk there, Junior, about the experience too. I agree. They're gonna lose to Phoenix. Like there's no doubt about
They can
that.
get waxed.
But
You
my
don't
question is,
got Pelicans in 7?
no. But my question, if you're the Pelicans, you're David Griffin, you're Willie Green, you bring in Zion back? How are we feeling about that? What's the temperature? Is it worth it?
It's not worth it. It's not worth it.
Not worth
At this point, it's not worth it because they're not beating the Suns with or without Zion. In my opinion, they're not beating the Suns with or without Zion. I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm putting the Pelicans down, but they're 4 games away from going to Cancun too. You know what I mean? 4 or 5 games away from going to Cancun too. It's not worth to have Zion re-injure anything for 4 or 5 games. You know what I mean? So I'd say just hold on to him. But then next year, I think if they were able to make the play in and then ultimately the playoffs this year, next year they really gotta be pushing to be at least that or better because they'll have added Zion. You know what I mean? They should be pushing to be that 6, 7 seed. It's gonna be tough.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that just build them. Take what you made this year. Be happy with what you made this year. Add Zion to the mix and build on it. That's what I think. I wouldn't bring him back, but I want to hear what y'all think.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I really love that New Orleans core. Like, John, I don't know how you're feeling about that. I think they got every piece. They got shooters. They got Herb Jones, defensive lockdown dude. They got their PG and CJ now. And then I don't know where Valanciunas fits into that equation there. Because I look at Jackson Hayes and I see he could potentially be the versatile center they might need in the future, or you put Zion at the 5. But I think I love the pieces they got there in New Orleans.
Yeah, I'm right there. I'm right there with both of you. I wouldn't bring him back. I wouldn't risk him and risk the future again for these first 4 games. But I also agree that. Just something I want to touch on is I do want to see, because Zion is one of those players that he's not just a plug and play. You don't just fit him in any lineup. Like, he changes the way you play out there. So while I agree, Jay, they got a good core running, I want to see what they gonna do when Zion comes back and how they integrate Zion with that, because he's not just a player that you seamlessly just plug in and you can just continue with your same system. So that'll be something for us to check out for next year, man. So
yeah,
we'll check that out, man. But
I don't know that's my thing. Yeah, we won't go deep into it, but Valanciunas and him both in the paint, I think they can. If you want one of them, you got the shooters. You can play 4 out, 1 in, but I don't know about two in the paint there clogging up. But that's all
So you move. So you move in Valanciunas.
I don't know. That's the thing. That's the thing. You gotta figure it out.
Sounds like a problem for Willie Green.
Yeah, it sounds like a David Griffin problem. Sounds like a Billy Green problem. Yeah, exactly.
Man, all right, Jay. So then, yes, those are the 2 8 seeds that now we have for the East and the West, and that brings us to, AKA, best time of the year, playoff prediction time. Let's get it. All right. So I think a pretty cool, clever and unique way for us to get into this is let's each talk about, I guess, the most exciting, most intriguing, personal, series, personal to ourselves. So I guess I'll just go ahead and kick this off and talk about in my opinion, what's going to be the best first round matchup, man. And that is the Celtics versus the Nets, man. Wow. The two seed Celtics I can't believe they finished as a 2 seed versus the 7 seed Brooklyn
early in
Nets.
the season, I would have thought Brooklyn would be 2 and the Celtics would be 7.
Man,
Mhm,
oh man.
mhm.
All right, guys. Are we all right? How do we want to do this? Are we just giving out our take? What do you think, Jay? What do you got? Who do you got? Some reasons. What do you got, Jenner? Talk to me.
All right. You want to go first, Jay?
You got it, Junior.
All right. I got to go with the Nets. Just plain and simple. I know that the 7th seed, but it's different. There's a reason they're the 7th seed. You know, I mean, they got Kyrie coming back now. First of all, we got to talk about Ramadan Kyrie. This man, this is his son Ramadan. So we got Kyrie coming back. We got KD. It's gonna be. I mean, it's gonna be hard to go against those two. I know Jason Tatum has been having a hell of a year. I know Jaylen Brown is a bucket no matter what year. But it's just when you got KD going up against anybody, he was, like you said, a size 14 shoe away from making it to the final and probably winning it. I got to go with the Nets. I just got to keep it simple. But it's not going to be an easy series. So I'm going to say Nets probably going to win in 6 or 7 games. I think they're going to be pushing it to the end, but I'm going to say 6 or 7 games for the Nets.
All right, but wait, but before we go forward, I need decisive answers. Facts. I need decisive answers because we need decisive answers. So what you think?
All right.
6 or 7?
7.
7. Oh, okay, 7. Jay, talk to me. Who do you have? Celtics versus Nets?
John Jr., pack your bags. First of all, we're going 7. I think this is going to be just number one. The Nets have the best player in the series. Maybe you could argue best too.
Yeah,
maybe.
But arguably the 2 best players. Yeah. Whatever day you want to say. But I still think Boston has the better team. It's a style of fights, right? What fights are determined by the style of the fighters, right? And I think Boston's style that they fight, the way that they play, they're very segmented. They run their stuff to a T. They run their offense. They lock down defensively. They install. Udoka has that pop mentality. He's a former sports coach. He knows he has the defensive schemes perfectly align KD. I know they're going to be extremely physical. I could see them switching on him, making his life tougher. KD's going to get his buckets regardless. You know, Kyrie's more of a mercenary role, but the way that Brooklyn runs their offense, very segmented. They run a lot of isolations, whereas Boston, they're getting easy shots. They're finding ways to get Jason Tatum. Maybe whether it's a pick and pop to a step up game. They're getting theirs. I do know that Robert Williams, him being out, is going to hurt them a little bit, but I'm still going to have to go with the number 1 defensive team in the league, the Boston Celtics, and 7. I think I could see Brooklyn winning because they have 2 best players. If I really truly believe that KD and Kyrie can have the performance they had against Cleveland 7 games in a row, but I'm not going to pick them because that's so difficult. That's so much. That's so much on the body, so much on the mental to know that I got to perform that well. Can they do it? Absolutely, yes. Am I going to pick them? No. I just love what the versatility and the defenders that Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are, and not to mention they can give you 50 on any given night. And Marcus Smart, arguably the defensive player of the year. That's so there's a reason they're the number 1. But Robert Williams does make things more difficult not having them. Their paint protector. But Daniel Tice is decent. And they still got the defenders. They still got the defenders around. Boston. Boston is 7, my dude. Boston is 7, my God.
Year in and year out. John's always vouching for the European big man.
Yeah.
John's
He's a boy. Boston 7.
All right, Jay. Boston is 7. All right. Hey, look. Honestly, this is what I gotta say, Jay. I think naturally, this is gonna be a 7. Yeah, this is gonna be a 7-game series, and I think naturally, this is gonna be a trading bucket series, man. You're just gonna see, KD, Kyrie, Tatum, Brown, just go at it. Offensively, this is gonna be great to watch, and I think naturally, it's gonna go to a 7-game series. But to be real with you, I think that if it gets to that 7th game, that's where I think it becomes a problem, man. Because I think now we just said it. The Nets have the best two players. You could argue, at least the best player, right? You could argue, and even earlier, Jay, when we were talking about that Hawks game and Cavs game, sometimes the best players in that occasion just rise to the occasion, and I could see it without KD and Kyrie having to put up those ridiculous performances. Because I mean, if Seth Curry's been having a great year, if Seth Curry can be that off ball shooter that we know of him to be, right? Like he could be great. He could be great. He could be great for the team. Andre Drummond, yes, Andre Drummond. People clown on him. Man, he's a 4-time rebounding champion. He could be a great big man. He could clear out big room down there. So I think naturally the series will go to 7, and I think in that 7th game, that's when I think easy money sniper. As much as sometimes he annoys me with his prima donnaism, and so does Kyrie. Man, I think that they are two players who can get it done in the brightest of brightest lights. So I'm gonna have to go with Junior on this one, man. I don't have to go with Nets in 7. I think that if it gets to that 7th game, KD's not going for that, man. KD's not going first round.
I just know that KD's his basketball genius. He just knows. He knows when his team he might not have the dogs in the fight. He might not have enough firepower, and I think that's one of those seasons. He knows even if I look at the path that they got to go through. They got to you beat Boston in this series. You got to beat Milwaukee without maybe Ben Simmons. There's talks of him coming back. We didn't even mention that, but there's talks of him coming back. Game 4 through 7. Even if Ben Simmons comes back, we don't know what he's going to look like. Yes, he might add something defensively for you. We know he's a great on-ball defender. His biggest knock has been off-ball, and I know what a terrible matchup for a team who runs their stuff like Boston, who puts guys in actions. And that's another thing I'm going to add to my case for Boston. Those small guards that Brooklyn has. Yes, you mentioned Seth Curry, Patty Mills, Kyrie Irving, guys that are the guys that they need to supplement the scoring of Kyrie and KD. They're going to be working defensively. As it stands right now, Seth Curry is probably going to be matched up with Jaylen Brown. That's a lot of size you're giving up. That's a lot of actions, off-ball work, maybe on-ball work that they're going to be putting through. And
that's going to be Bruce. Bruce, I think Bruce could pick that up. Bruce Brown is a good guard.
Even Marcus Smart will go to work on Seth Curry. That's a lot of physicality is what I'm trying to say. That those guards, even if you look at Kyrie, he's going to have to guard a bigger guard, whether it be Derek White, whether it be Marcus Smart. So they're going to be in a lot of actions, and it's a lot of. So even KD, like guy who likes to roam defensively, but he might get caught lacking with all the action that Boston runs, and it's just extremely concerning for me when I look at that series outlook. The amount of energy that they're going to have to give on the defensive end, and we know how they play offensively. They're not running a lot of sets; they're running a lot of isolation ball. And the defense they're going to be throwing on the other end, they're going to have to work for their buckets. So man, it's a lot of energy. And you're playing 40 plus a night for 7 games straight. By game 7, bro, where those legs going to be at, Jay? Junior, talk to me, bro. Talk to me after I saw it.
What I want to know, Jay. What I want.
The Celtics got the youth on their side too.
The Celtics got the youth, but what I want to know is if Robert Williams' status is to be determined, or he's not going to play. That's a huge X factor for the Nets. Not only because Andre Drummond, he's big body down low. I don't know anybody on the Celtics that's really gonna be able to hold him. Claxton has that youthful energy. Al Horford's I like Al Horford, great guy. He's like 50 years old. He's not gonna. I don't think he's gonna be able to really do much. So I think that big situation is gonna be a big issue, and that's where we're gonna see a lot of those isolations where KD and Kyrie. Can you imagine them having Al Horford on an island? Those having those bigs on an island, and to be real with you, Jay, I think naturally, even without KD and Kyrie having to put up those ridiculous performances, it ends up going to a 7-game series, and then once you get there, man, I mean, it's about the best players rising to the occasion. But I mean, hey, all I gotta say is if the Nets win this, then I say you consider bringing Ben Simmons back. And then this is as much as I do not like Ben Simmons, this is a championship team. This year, this is a championship ready
They're
team.
beating Milwaukee.
With Ben Simmons.
We get into round two, but
Yeah. I mean,
we'll
let's
get-
find
we'll-
out tomorrow, man. Let's
we'll
see
get to
game
round
one.
two, but real quick,
Yeah.
though, I'm just throwing a quick word though. Like we were saying for the play-in situation before they play the Suns, whoever wins this series, Celtics versus Nets, I still think the Bucks are gonna. It's about to be Cream City. Okay, it's about to be Cream City. I still think the Bucks
I
are
agree
walking
with
out of
that.
this
I
one.
second that. Yeah.
All right, man. Well, that's gonna be a super exciting series, man. So looking forward to that. But Jay, talk to me about what series you're most looking forward to in this first round as well.
I mean, we know what series. It has to be Philly, Philly and Toronto, right? I mean,
Jay
that
repping the
series. I
six
look
through
at
and
that
through.
series. I look at that series, and man, I just see Nick Nurse. Media loves to rave about this guy because of the implements, but we know the junk defenses. We know the game plans, and just defensive schemes that he's going to throw at Joel Embiid. That Philly, I talk about best player in the series. Philly has the best player, but when I look at this series and I look at who's going to be the second best players, is it going to be James Harden? It should be. Will it be? I don't know. Is it going to be Pascal Siakam? Is it going to be Fred VanVleet? And when I look at that series and I say it's going to come down who's the second best player, it's going to be the first best player. The best player is Joel Embiid. That's not going to change. But if the best player is from the Toronto Raptors, whoever it be, I think they're going to win this series. And I truly believe the season that Pascal Siakam has been having, Fred VanVleet, I'm going to go Raptors in 7. I just think that they're extreme. I was saying, a couple of weeks ago, I talked about this is a team who's been to the pinnacle. The Raptors knows most of their core, including their coach, knows what it takes to win a championship. They have the experience of beating Joel Embiid, albeit completely different player. He's grown, he's matured since they lost on that Kawhi buzzer beater. But I just think for all the reasons, the versatility, the ability for the Raptors to play small, and then for the ability to change it up, throw their active bigs at Precious Achiuwa, Thaddeus Young, Chris Boucher. I don't know how much he'll play in this series, but then the ability 1 through 5. Let's not forget Fred VanVleet is small, but he's an all defensive. He's an all defensive guard, in my opinion. Like defensively, if you're Tyrese Maxey, if you're James Harden, he's checking you. I've seen him check Steph. We've seen him not lock up. Excuse me. We've seen him check Stephen Curry in the finals in 2019. What's the saying he can't do? They can switch 1 through 5, man. And it just shows they're going to throw bodies at Joel Embiid, man. I just think I want to say that James Harden, it could be the series that he steps up and he could be the second best player, and Philly's gonna win this in 6 or 7. But I'm gonna go with what my knowledge tells me and my experience, and that's Toronto in 6, man. Raptors in 6. 7, excuse me, 7.
You want to go?
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna keep it real simple. That was a great analysis, Jay. But there's one thing I want to add to it. One thing, first of all, like you said, Joel Embiid, best player in the series. But I think the gap from Joel Embiid to whoever the next player is, which I agree could be up to debate. In my opinion, is James Harden. But I can see to there being a debate.
He should be.
It should be James Harden. It should be James Harden. But no matter who it is, whether it's James Harden, whether it's VanVleet, whether it's Siakam, Embiid has got the gap between Embiid and the next player is so big that I think is going to help Philadelphia a lot. And the fact that, like we said, I think James Harden should be that second best player. And just the way I've been watching, the way Philly's approaching this, their maturity, the Raptors obviously got not only playoff experience, but championship experience. But Philly's got fair share of playoff experiences as well, fair share of playoff shortcomings as well that they have come. And I think that, the most successful people and the most successful teams, they always say you don't fail, you just learn, right? So we have to see if they could really adapt, they could really, take a piece of that mentality and learn, because they've made their fair share of mistakes over the last couple of years. They have, in my opinion, the superior team. They should have just as much experience as the Raptors and taking care of a round one matchup. I got to go with the Sixers in 6. That's where I'm going. Like, you made some good points and you almost had me swaying there, maybe throwing them to 7, but I don't think I'm ready to have the Raptors winning it just yet over the Sixers. I just think Embiid's just been too good this year.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, sorry, John. Before you make your point, I just have to add this little caveat in there as well, and this little asterisk. Their minutes without James Harden and Joel Embiid are one of the worst plus minuses. However much stock you want to put into that, when they're not on the floor together, they have one of the worst plus minuses. They lose those minutes exponentially. Not to mention when they're not on the floor together, even when it's just one, they lose those minutes. So that's extremely concerning. You're putting a lot of mileage on it. We've seen what Harden does, his body hold up. And Joel Embiid, he's been healthy for the majority of the season, but he's not the most, guy who's been through a lot. And if it's even to go 6 or 7, I mean, that's a lot of wear and tear. Adding into the mix, let's not forget they're going to be missing Matisse Thybulle for 3 games, their best defender on that team. And that's extremely concerning when you got guys like OG Anunoby, when you got guys like Scotty Barnes, you got guys like Federico VanVleet at that guard position, at that wing position. Man, I'm scared if I'm Philly. This is the matchup you don't want, man.
Look, man. Look, I hear you. I hear you on the point about Philly losing, and I think this is all when you look back to that, like the whole Ben Simmons ordeal when the Nets were able to highway robbery steal Seth Curry and Andre Drummond from the 76ers, and I think that they gave up too much depth, and I agree. I at that point, and to that I agree. But when we talk about the best players rising to the occasion, not only, right, DeGener mentioned Embiid, the gap between him and the next player is ridiculous. Also, this just the matchup just does not bode well for the Raptors. I mean, I'm not even gonna just talk about just throwing around weight, because Embiid's so much more than just weight. I mean, he's a big man who can shoot threes, who's nimble on his feet, but Embiid is 280. I think I don't know who the Raptors plan on putting on Embiid. I don't know if they plan on putting Boucher, who's 201, who weighs 201 pounds. That's like a huge difference that Embiid will not only be able to dominate inside and punish inside, like genuinely every time down court, and you can't send the double on a player like Joel Embiid. And as much as I agree with the whole James Harden thing, and I hear the whole James Harden noise. He hasn't really been the James Harden that we've known come playoffs, but he's still like James Harden, right? Like he's got something to prove. And in my opinion, this is the best situation he's ever been in to win. I mean, I'm the biggest advocate of, in the NBA, you need pick and roll partners, and Joel Embiid, James Harden, that is a great pick and roll partner to be with. That's where, Jay, you talked about him maybe being able to prove himself. I think this is where he proved himself. And even if he's not that great scorer that we know James Harden to be, that baits and gets to the foul line, he's a great facilitator. I mean, we now that people are like, it's the hating on James Harden era, but when it was like when everybody was loving on Harden when he was on the Rockets, when he was like, wow, the Oklahoma City Thunder messed up letting him go, all this and all that, people knew James Harden was a great facilitator, man, because he knew he's going to see that double. And the only other thing I need to add, Jay, is if the Raptors do decide, because like I mentioned, they don't have nobody to go up against Embiid, who is overbearing, over skill, over height, anyone on that Raptors team. If the Raptors do decide to run that small ball lineup, that's going to put a lot of pressure, Jay, on an inconsistent 3-point shooting team. I mean, we know we talked about it when we did that live episode. Gary Trent Jr., man, he could be on fire, but boy, can he be inconsistent. And I don't know if I can rely on that. If that's the way they're going to plan on winning, is running a small ball lineup, that puts way too much pressure on them being able to hit from outside. And Gary Trent, I don't know if I can put my marbles on him, man. So to give my answer, man, I'm with Junior. I got Sixers in 6. I think the Raptors are going to be able to pull up maybe 1 or 2 out, but I think the best player rises to the occasion here. It's just too big of a gap, in my opinion.
All I gotta say is when at home, when Philly starts losing, maybe if they go down game 1, they lose game 1, they lose game 1 tonight. And they play that next game. And even tonight, if they're down big, and Philly, we know how that Philly crowd, and Philly starts booing Harden. They start booing Harden, it could happen. Philly's much alike New York, that fan base. But all I gotta say is let's see how he responds. He came out and said he don't have pressure on him, but let's see back against the wall when your own fans are booing you because they expect excellence from you. Let's see how much pressure you got. Because James Harden, you're right, it is his time. Like if he's the best player and the second best player in this series, Philly wins. But I'm not ready to put my eggs in that basket, man. Shout out Easter, man. But happy Easter, y'all. but for real, man. I think I'm not ready to put my to give it to James, man. I just think Toronto's got too many weapons, despite not having the best player in the series.
Let me ask you.
And they got the best coach too.
Yeah. Y'all see what Chuck said? That when James Harden said he doesn't have any pressure, Chuck said that James Harden actually is the player that has the most pressure.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of true. I think out of all the stars, he probably has the most to prove. Is he going to take that next step and become the NBA champion? And I mean, it's going to be tough to do it this year, but like John said, I think that if this is a situation that he's been in his career, Joel Embiid is far and away the best teammate he's had. I mean, you could make an argument, but I don't think CP3 was really prime CP3 when he was on the Rockets, right? I think that Embiid's probably the best teammate he's ever had, and this could be probably the best team he's been on. So, but also it'll be a tough road. He's gonna have to beat the Bucks. I think there's good teams in the East to beat. So it's not gonna be a cakewalk, but I definitely think there's a lot of pressure on James Harden. But we'll see. I mean, these players that have pressures on them their whole lives. That's how they made it to the league. So I think we just have to see how he's gonna react to it and how he's gonna respond to it.
Man, that's gonna be a super exciting series, man.
John,
looking forward to that. What's up, Jay?
What's your series? Sorry, Junior. What's your series?
I'm
series
talking
you
about
got?
another exciting series. I'm trying to see a series of dogs, and that's going to be the Timberwolves versus the Grizzlies.
Man,
that's going to be a series of dogs. All right, first of all, the same way John used to doubt the Hawks is how I used to doubt Memphis. Jay, we had a conversation about this earlier. Memphis has been the team that's proved me wrong a lot of times over the last 2 seasons, and I can't keep doubting them anymore. I keep doubting them to keep proving me wrong.
Remember what I said, y'all? I told y'all.
I know.
During the year, I said Memphis Grizzlies are a team that I don't want to see in the playoffs.
I know.
I still believe that.
I gotta see. So they got the skill. They're working on building the experience part of that equation, right? To go far in the playoffs. So we'll see. Are they going to be able to do it? But I think it's going to be a good series. One, because the Timberwolves are a gritty team. Timberwolves have the potential to really have their own big 3 light, right? Like with Cat and D'Lo, like it's a big 3. But I mean, it's a different, it's a different level of big 3. But I think the Wolves got their own real big 3. I mean, if Cat can, not stay out of foul trouble and contribute a little bit more to the team, but you got Ant, who's like, man, Ant's so electrifying. Like he just gets you a bucket in any way. He'll drive. I mean, he was out there, like you could see he was hunting for those matchups. Which was so cool to watch when in the playing game. They would bring help defense, and he would he just wants space because he needs space to operate. He's gonna lull him, pull it, man, bang on him. And I think that so I think it's gonna make for a good matchup. So you're gonna have Ant in there. D'Lo, if he catches fire at the right time, which he did in the second half of that playing game, you got Cat, who I'd say I think he's built enough stock that we can say that game was an anomaly. I think that usually he's a pretty solid player, and you got Pat Bev, who's
Oh my goodness.
Energy,
I don't gotta
energy.
talk about that man. Because you already know what the deal is going to be, right? Like he's going to get what I was telling John, he's going to get one steal on John Morant, and you'll never hear the end of it. You'll never hear the end of it. But I think under normal circumstances, John Morant is going to be waxing Pat Beverly, and it's going to be hilarious to see. But I got Memphis. I got Memphis taking care of this. 5 or 6. I know I can't ride the fence here, so I'm gonna say 5. I'm gonna say Memphis is in 5. But I don't think Jay agrees with me.
Nah, I look at this series, fellas. I look at this series and I see two of the top. I see two of the top offensive teams in the league, statistically, 1 and 2 respectively, Memphis and the Timberwolves. So I think it's going to be fireworks on the offensive end. But where I think this series is going to take a tilt and where it's concerning for me, we got the number 1 offensive rebounding team in the league in the Memphis Grizzlies and the 25th ranked defensive rebounding team in the Minnesota Timberwolves. Styles makes fights. And to be honest, the Minnesota Timberwolves just don't box out. And you can't lose focus against a team who's physical, like the team with physicality and who executes their offense to a T, like the Grizzlies. But at the same time, in the same sense, the Minnesota Timberwolves do execute their offense. So it's going to be a battle of chess, but I just think the Grizzlies just have the better pieces. And with the Taylor Jenkins has at disposal. They have the length, they have the athleticism. They got the best player, in my opinion, in Ja Morant in the series. Karl Anthony Towns needs to prove it. I do think he's going to have a better series and a better showing. And I think if the Timberwolves are going to be successful, they have to look to exploit that matchup between potentially Karl Anthony Towns and Steven Adams. I think he needs to dominate this series. I anticipate them. Look back on matchups in the past. They had Steven Adams on Karl Anthony Towns. I expect them to switch that matchup and put Jaren Jackson on Cat. I think that's a better matchup, and then put Steven Adams on Jared Vanderbilt. But man, Styles makes fights. This can be a chess match. All that being said, Grizzlies in 5.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I've been talking about the Wolves, and I think I really do like him as a playoff team, and there's been multiple times on here that I've talked about my reasons. They can play defense, man. They can play in the half court set. Players know their roles. They also complement each other. Just simply what you're talking about with the light big three, right? D'Lo could be that facilitator, Ant could be that bucket getter at any time, and Cat can just be that rainbow. I can kind of do it all and be that big man out the post, out the wing. But I mean, it's just it would be wrong of me to go against a Memphis Grizzlies team that's averaging 125 points on this Timberwolves team. For this Memphis Grizzlies team, who, I mean, proved it, dog. I mean, like we seen them play without Ja Morant, their best player. So now you add Ja Morant. I think it's definitely going to be Memphis in 5. So I think for that for that series. We could be happy for the Timberwolves, but I think it's time to move on because Ja Morant isn't going to go for none of that. Patrick Beverly, he raw, man. But all right, so we're all in agreements with that. So then let's keep it pushing, guys, and let's get to another series. Jay, the 3-6, Jay. Let's talk about that Warriors and Denver Nuggets series, Jay. Man, hey, Jay, honestly, I'll be real with you. This was probably the worst matchup that I think first round that the Warriors could have got because of their current situation, in my opinion. I mean, it's no question that there's a glaring deficiency at the big, at the Warriors big. I know Kevon Looney played, all 82 games, did his thing, but he's not. I wouldn't say Kevon Looney is a reliable big you could put in today's day and age, especially going against Jokic, literally the best big in the league, man.
I was gonna get an Embiid reaction from you,
man. And look, Embiid is the MVP, but I mean, when we talk about bigs, I mean, we know exactly what Jokic does, man. And while I agreed that the Warriors got him covered on every other player in every other position, they got the Nuggets covered, and they're gonna take it to the Nuggets, man. But I think the Warriors are gonna have a hard. Well, not I know that Jokic is gonna just kill whoever is guarding him. And a problem with Jokic is you can't just bring the double. You can't just bring a double to a player like Jokic because if Joel Embiid will find the right player, Jokic, the man with eyes behind the back of his head, he will find the right player. And while I will say, because the Nuggets are down, and yes, the Nuggets are 3-1 against the Warriors in the season series this year. I do think the Warriors are going to be able to handle it. I'm going to say Warriors in 6, but I do want to add one thing though. If it gets to a 7-game series, I think that's the worst possible outcome for the Warriors, man, because in that 7-game series, in that one-off series, in my opinion, Jokic just is gonna do his thing, and the Warriors run the risk and run the dangers of Jokic having a ridiculous 40-point game or a 50-point game where he's just really doing it all, and then the Warriors fall. But I don't think it gets to a Game 7 series. But if it does, I think that's the worst possible outcome for the Warriors, because I think Jokic is going to rise as the best player, especially with that mismatch that he'll have.
Look, Jay, I'm gonna go because I know you're Dub Nation through and through. So I'm gonna let you close this one out. Okay. So I'm gonna say, John hit on most of my points that I was thinking too. I do have the Warriors winning the series. I'll just cut right to the chase. I do have the Warriors winning the series. But there are two very important things. So the Nuggets, I don't think they're going to get Jamal Murray or Michael Porter Jr. back. So that's going to hurt him. I don't know what the situation is with Steph Curry. I think it's a game time decision for the game today, right? Or is
probable.
He's probable. Okay, yeah. So he's probable. So let's say Curry plays. Let's say Curry plays today and plays the whole series. It's going to be really tough for the Nuggets to beat that. I actually would love to see Murray, Porter Jr., Jokic, just both healthy teams. With both teams fully healthy, including James Wiseman as well, though, I probably still would have the Warriors winning that series just because the Warriors are incredibly deep. Just got Klay Thompson back, extremely well coached. I think that the Warriors still have an advantage there. But let's just talk about the situation the way it is. With Steph Curry, I got the Warriors in 6. Without Steph Curry, it's probably going to be the Warriors in 7. I know John's talking about getting to that 7-game series, but that's honestly, I'm going to say this. They have Steph Curry. I'm not going to get to too many hypotheticals. I think Steph Curry will be back. I'm going to say Warriors in 6. If there are some defensive matchups and some matchup problems for the Warriors, like John alluded to, but I think there's also a lot of matchup advantages for the Warriors and just personnel advantages for the Warriors as well, that I just don't think the Denver Nuggets will be able to overcome. So I got Warriors in 6 for this one. But talk to me, Jay. Tell me why you have Warriors in 4.
Yeah. No, you guys brought up very interesting points, both in the sense that I do look at these matchups and I see, number one, I just look at the Warriors path because I'm always looking at the Warriors path to get to the finals and who they got to go at. I think that Denver is a tough matchup, and then Memphis is probably going to come out. So two tough matchups, 2 very physical matchups, 2 teams that run their stuff to a T, high IQ teams. Jokic, like you said, best big in the league. I think it's a very exciting matchup from a standpoint of just a neutral, even not a fan of the teams, because you got arguably the best big in the league. I think he's the best big, and then probably the best point guard in the league. Coming back, and 2 exciting players to watch. So I love it from that standpoint. We'll cut to this chase. I do have Warriors in 6. But it's simply just the fact that they got so many weapons. I think the emergence of Jordan Poole, what he can do. Klay Thompson, we've seen the basketball that he's been playing of late. Looks like he's the beam coming back to himself. Steph Curry, even at 80%, 70%, the gravity that he attracts. I think Denver has no answer for that. Monte Morris is probably the second option, the second leading scorer for Denver. That's not going to cut it. Aaron Gordon, I do think, look at him as as an X factor. If he's shooting it, he's commanding respect of the defense. But all that being said, Denver just doesn't have the weapons to compete with what the Warriors have. And I love the fact that the Warriors can go small as well with Draymond at the 5 and get some minutes there, and then have Looney at him too. I expect the Warriors to start. Unfortunately, I expect Jordan Poole to be coming off the bench and them to start a lineup of Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, Draymond Green, and Kevon Looney, because I expect them to stagger the minutes and the time that they have on Jokic. And for Draymond, we know how aggressive he can play, not to pick up some early fouls, to have some weight on Jokic, make his life a little more difficult. And then they'll have a lot of minutes of Draymond playing the 5 and the ability to go small. And Denver's going to have no answer for that small ball lineup of them offensively. The Warriors are just going to have too many weapons, and they're just going to outscore them. Jordan Poole and Stephen Curry have, I think, one of the best plus minuses of any duo in the league. Denver's not competing with that. I'm gonna give the Denver credit because they might if they steal one on the road. I can see it going 6. But if Golden State goes up 2-0, I expect it to be a 5-game series. But I'm gonna give them the Warriors a little leeway in Denver, and go Warriors in 6.
Warriors in 6. All right.
Warriors
So we
in
all got
6.
the same thing.
Yeah, we all got the same thing. All right. So then,
But I can see it going 5. I can see it going 5 Warriors.
No, we're not riding the fence.
we're not running the fence, Jay. We're not.
I'm
running
going
the
6.
fence.
I'm going 6, but I could see it. I could see it going 5.
But I can also see it going 4, maybe 7.
But I could see it going 3. No.
All right, man. All right. So then, yeah, that would be a great matchup. So let's jump to what I said I think was a bad, Warriors still win, but in my opinion, that's like the worst matchup they could have got. Same thing for the East. Let me jump to the East. I think the Bulls got the worst competition they could have got, and the Bulls and versus Bucks. Man, honestly, I'm just gonna come out and say, out of respect for DeMar and Zach, I have Bucks in 5 because I'm just gonna give the Bulls 1. But I mean, this is just absolutely gonna be a beatdown. This is the Bulls, man, and that was just so upsetting for me because I love the Bulls. I kept giving the Bulls so much play this year. I was like, man, the Bulls can do this, they can do that, but then they just never brought a true big. They brought Tristan Thompson. That just did it. That solves nothing. And to go against a team like the Bucks, who literally are a team full of bigs, man. They got Brook. They got Bobby Portis, who could play like a big. They got Serge. They got Giannis Antetokounmpo, right? So this is going to be a beatdown for the Bulls, but out of respect for DeMar and Zach and what they've been doing in the perimeter, man, and what they've been doing to carry their team, because I've just been watching so much Bulls games this year, I'm going to give the Bulls at least 1 game. So I'm going to go Bucks in 5.
I got 2 words. Cream City.
Yeah.
It's not. I agree. It's gonna be Bucks in 5, probably 4, honestly, but I'm gonna say 5. I'm gonna say maybe, who knows, maybe the Bulls come out, punch them in the mouth, steal a game, and then that's it. I aside from that, it's Bucks in 5. It's not really much to say on that one.
I got something in my hands, fellas. Got a broom. I got a broom.
You got the prop.
It's a sweep. It's a sweep.
It's a
sweep.
He's sleeping.
The Milwaukee Bucks are sweeping the Chicago Bulls for the second year in a row. These are the defending NBA champions. We've seen what the Bulls do against top teams throughout this whole season. It's going to be the same story. The Bucks are going to do what they did last first round against the Miami Heat, a team who made it to the Eastern Conference Finals the year before. It doesn't matter. Bucks in 4. It's just too many weapons, too much experience. Giannis Antetokounmpo, by far the best player in that series. No disrespect to DeMar and Zach. Bulls, great season, but it's ending.
Man.
So let me tell you then, Jay. Can I get into another series?
Get into the next series.
I'm gonna get into another series that I think you keep the broom out for. Suns Pelicans. Let's pull the broom out.
Let's pull the broom out. You're right. Let's not even waste time on that.
It's a sweep.
let's
That's a
keep
sweet.
You got
Yeah.
the prop. Let's just keep going with it.
exactly,
I think-
exactly. I love that. I love that.
I don't even got much to say on it. You know, like we said a little bit earlier, respect to the Pelicans for
Mhm.
getting in the playoff,
Facts.
getting to the play-in through the lower seeded team. Through the AC, they were able to beat the Clippers, but it's just it's tough, man. It's tough. I think when you look at the matchup they got with the Suns, I mean, it's just L's across the board on those matchups. So
Yeah.
it's a sweep. Not much to say on that one.
Man, not much to say at all on
Agreed.
there.
Agreed.
Either agreed. So we can keep it pushing. And I really want to talk about this series actually because I mean, but we're talking off camera about this. We know how much we believe in Luka. I know Jay is not a big Luka believer, but I want to talk about that matchup against the Dallas Mavericks and the Utah Jazz. You want to go first?
All right.
Talk to me.
All right. So first of all, it's gonna be a tough series, especially with Luka being hurt. I think if Luka was not hurt and he was playing the whole series, I'm a big Luka believer. I think Luka really would get it done against these boys in 5 or 6 games. No joke. I know it sounds crazy. But we saw Luka take the Clippers to 7 games, damn near by himself, because KP wasn't doing anything that series. So I'm gonna say I would have said if he would have played all games, I probably would have had him winning in 6. This would be a little tougher now because he is gonna miss game 1. I think if he misses 1 game, the Mavericks are still going to be able to recover from that and still win the series. I'd probably still say in 6. I still see the Mavericks winning if Luka misses just game 1. Where it starts getting slippery is if he misses more than 1 game. And then I think it's going to be something that's going to play out into the Jazz's hands a lot. And I'm going to tell you why. First of all, the Mavericks are the higher seed, so they're going to have home court advantage. Second, we can try to beat around the bush, but we know the Jazz are an unplayable team in the playoffs. We can try to beat around the bush with it, but I don't think they have what it takes to win in playoff games. And Spida is a boy, but I think it's going to be another season where Spida's going to ball out and the rest of the team is going to let him down. And he's going to be looking. I think he's going to have to take a real hard look to see if Utah is in a situation he wants to continue to keep himself in and go the Damian Lillard route. Or if he wants to, you know, think about maybe going elsewhere to try. I'm not gonna say ring chase, but perhaps build a foundation somewhere else. He's still young. I'm not gonna say, oh, he's gonna jump on. He's gonna go sign with the Bucks and go get a ring. You know, like I'm saying, maybe he'll sign somewhere where it's not gonna be a guaranteed ring, but you know, he goes and he can actually pair up with, you know, another good quality player that can actually play in the playoffs. Not trying to shit on Rudy Gobert too much. Like I can appreciate a center like no other. Don't get me wrong. I just think that there's certain liabilities with Rudy Gobert and the rest of that Jazz team that is a little tough. That being said, the Jazz are also not scrubs. Like, so that's why I just wanted to preface that. Like, they're not scrubs. I know I just shot on them for like a minute straight, and then I'm gonna say they're not scrubs. So I don't think it's going to be a cakewalk for the Mavericks, and especially if they're missing Luka Doncic for more than 2 games. I'd say if he misses game 1 and game 2, if he misses game 1 and game 2, it's going to be a 7-game series, which I think I'm going to say the Mavericks ultimately take. I know earlier I said if Luka misses 2 games, they'd go to the Jazz, but if Luka misses more than 3 or more games, I'm going Jazz. Probably 6 or 7. But I know it's kind of tough not to ride the fence on this one because there's just so many unknowns. Luka is the X factor in the series. I mean, I would just be silly if I told you that the Mavericks. Else. I know if I told you the Mavericks are going to beat the Jazz without Luka, I would just be being silly. So it's tough for me. It's tough. But I'm sorry, but I gotta put a caveat on that one because no Luka makes a hell of a difference.
Yeah.
But yeah. I'll go ahead and I'll say miss 1 game, I'm going Mavericks. Miss 2 games, I'm going Mavericks. Miss more than 2, I got to go Jazz.
Okay.
So I'm not riding the fence on those, but I do have to hinge on those injuries. Tell me what you boys think.
Yeah, let's call it what it is. I mean, Dallas is not the same team without Luka. This team is built around Luka. It's built around his excellence. I mean, he's a superstar for a reason, but that's the problem when you build a team around a superstar that relies so heavily on their superstar like the Mavericks do on Luka, it's tough to win games and it's tough to win a series without him. And that's concerning, especially the type of injury that he has with his hamstring. And I just see that being too much to overcome. I mean, on Utah's side of things, I do, regardless of the outcome of this series, of this season, I see them breaking it up regardless. I think Rudy Gobert, Donovan Mitchell, I even think Quinn Snyder's on his way out to go to another coaching job position because he's good enough to have a coaching position if he wants. And there's going to be a lot of openings after this season. Maybe he might be in LA. I don't know. Who knows? I'll be good for the Lakers. I don't know if Quinn Snyder wants to do that. No offense. I don't think
he wants to do that.
No offense, fellas. That's not a very attractive position. But anyways, I do think that that Utah, it's a last hurrah for them. They ultimately got to put up a fight. And I think without Luka, this Mavericks team's not the same. What's the backup point guard's name? I'm blanking on his name. Jalen Brunson had a great season. Spencer Dinwiddie had a great season, but in the playoffs, there was a reason Jalen Brunson struggled last year in the playoffs. Tim Hardaway Jr., he's not going to be back, but he struggled in the playoffs. The supporting cast and role players do struggle in the playoffs because that defense, that court shrinks. It's harder to get looks that you got in the regular season because defense turns to clamps. And I think without Luka, it's just too much to overcome. So therefore, I'm going to have to go with the Jazz in 6, maybe even 7 if Luka comes back. But I'm going to go 2 games is more than enough for the Jazz to capitalize and be up 2-0 on after stealing home court advantage. That's going to be a lot to mountain to climb, especially from a Luka coming back from the type of injury, a hamstring injury. So that's a lot. And I think Utah, it's kind of the last farewell tour, if you want to call it that. And they know they got to get it done. I'm going to go Utah in 7.
Okay, I'm right there with you, Jay. Except I just got him 1 game less. I got Utah in 6, and no, I mean, you listed most of the reasons, Jay, and one of the reasons I really do want to double up on is how you said this is their last go at it, right? And I think they understand, the rest of the league understands it. You mentioned the whole thing. Quinn Snyder, he didn't re-up his contract, so yeah, he's gone. And this, everyone knows that this is their last go at it, and I think that they're not gonna go out in the first round for their last go at it. You mentioned it too, my brother, Donovan Mitchell, right? He's been that playoff guy, bro. Literally since he's got to the NBA, first year he put out Westbrook and PG out the playoffs. Then the following years, he just all these ridiculous performances, and then the bubble against Jamal Murray. So he's a playoff guy, man. His career stats are 28 points per game, 5 rebounds and 4 assists in the playoffs. Jay, another thing, why like how you mentioned, that's why the Jazz are favored, is Jalen Brunson. I like Jalen Brunson a lot, but playoffs and regular season defense is 2 different things. Jalen Brunson is a small guy. He's really going to get worked on the defensive end. I'm doubting he's going to be able to really be the Jalen Brunson that we saw in the year. As much as I like him, man, it's just 2 different types of basketball. So and one thing I wanted to add is, me and Junior, we were talking the other day. We were talking about just the Jazz, and then I looked at last year, and just last year they were the number 1 seed. And while I agree the team has changed and the team has gone through some turmoil, I don't think that they've had a drastic change to go from the number 1 seed to losing in the first round, and especially when you add the fact that they added Nickeil Alexander-Walker off the bench. I think he's personally rotting his career away in Utah. He could do so much more. But I mean, for Utah, that's great having a player like that. In my opinion, he's a starter calendar type player, and you got him coming off the bench. So yeah, man. But yeah, Jay right here saying in the chat, shout out Greg, man. Greg from the Unsalvageable
shout
podcast.
Out Greg,
hey, everybody that's been tuned in for Clutch Talk for a minute know what's up, man. Greg is a classic guest around here, man. Shout out Greg. All right, guys. So then,
hey, I just want to add one thing, because Jay brought up a point I never really thought about: the severity of Luka's injury. is how much is it going to be affecting him when he comes back? That's a good point, Jay.
Could be re-aggravated very easily.
Yeah. I was thinking, oh, Luka's going to come back and be his normal self, but you're right. We got to actually see if Luka's going to come back and be his normal self. So that's what happened.
So John? Is he riding the fence? Are you
ready to come? Are you ready to come up to
Yeah.
Utah side with us? Are you ready to come to Utah with us?
I still think he misses. I mean, dude, it's tough. You know? I can't tell you how he's gonna come back. I still think he misses. Okay, I'm gonna tell you this. I still think he misses the game. I still can give it.
He's
to Luka.
questionable for game 2 already.
Man.
Like I remember that, Junior. He's there. They said he's questionable. There's a chance that he might not be back for 2. It's still a bit questionable, which is concerning that he's questionable already.
Season, man. It was the last game of the season. Mavericks got to be sick for that. Look, all right. I still say miss one game. I still give it to Luka. Miss 2 games, it starts to get fishy. Then you got to see how he reacts to that.
You gotta come over to Utah with me and Jay Hill, man. You gotta come over to Utah with me and Jay Hill, man.
You riding the fence, Jay?
There's so many questions.
Luka
marks.
is a big.
There's so many
variable.
question marks on the Jazz too. Like you
It
said,
is
this the year they're gonna blow it up? You know what I mean? Is this the year they're gonna blow it up? Because I mean, like, if they lose to the Mavericks, that's a first round exit. You definitely blow that up at this point, right? With how many years, 4 or 5 years that they have been just that good.
My feel is regardless.
It's
Okay, because no matter what,
I think regardless.
no matter who, it's another situation too. Whoever wins this series is gonna play probably the Suns, most likely the Suns.
Mhm.
Are they? Is either of these teams really beating the Suns? No,
Man.
you know. So it's just like it's gonna be a situation where it's probably the last time we're gonna see the Jazz make this
push.
run, and then what are they gonna do? You know what I mean? I'm not even trying to bag, but it's not really a free agent destination.
I agree.
So it's just
They gotta
like they're
build
gonna
to
have
the
to try
draft.
to move. They're gonna try to move a lot of those players to pick, and they could do that because they have a haul of quality players. They can get picks for Conley. They can get picks for
They
can get picks
Walker.
and they can get picks and players for at least Gobert and Mitchell if they want to blow it out altogether. But no matter what they do, they should look to keep Mitchell.
Yeah.
Because that's a player you build around. He's still young. Keep Mitchell and build around him. But this is not the Jazz Rebuild podcast. We can get Greg on for that.
we can have Greg on for that, man. Exactly.
All right, let's all right.
So then let's get to the last series here, and that is how we you know what, this is actually beautiful, y'all. This is how we started the podcast. We started the podcast talking about the Hawks, and now we're gonna close it
We gotta
off.
end it with them. Yep.
We gotta end it with this 1-8 series. It's Miami versus the Hawks. I'll come out and say it. I got the Heat in 6. As I know I've been saying I'm not gonna doubt the Hawks, but I can't go against the number 1 seed in the Miami Heat, not only because they're the number 1 seed, man, but the way that they're lined up to play, the way their lineup is, they got a lineup full of dogs, that defensive minded team, and I think they're just gonna go at Trae Young, especially when you think about the fact that we don't know what's gonna happen with Clint. That looked terrible. John Collins, the finger and foot injury, he's out. I think the Heat just have way too much, and I think more than anything, the Heat have exactly what Trae Young. I'm not going to say he breaks under the pressure when teams are physical with him, but he's not one of those players that you can be very physical with. Like he's a smaller guy, and I think the Heat have too many bodies to just continue to throw at Trae in a 7-game series. So I'm going to go with the Heat in 6. My brother, how you feel about that?
All right, this is a tough one. But I think Clint Capella's injury. What's going to happen? Is he going to be back? John Collins, is he going to play at all? Right? He was always like, oh, he might play. He ended up not playing and added the playing games. And I mean, those were all high stake games. So like, if he could play, I believe he would have played. He didn't play because he could not play, and I think so. That talks a little bit about the severity of his injury. So no John Collins, no Clint Capella. They have 2 extra games under their feet, so they have extra mileage on their legs as well. It's tough not to go Heat. And I'm thinking, I respect Trae. I respect what he can do. I think Trae is like you said in the beginning of the episode, Jay. He's a superstar. Call it how it is. but he's got the power. I think he's got the skill to leverage a game, not to leverage a whole series. Like you got to be different to level a whole series, right? And I think that he could probably leverage a game. I think if there's no Clint Capella and there's no John Collins, it's probably Heat in 5. That's me giving Trae Young the benefit of the doubt, leveraging a game. They get one or two of those guys back, and it's probably Heat in 6. But it's not gonna. I don't even think it's going to 7. Even if Collins and Capella are back for game 1, I still don't even think they're gonna be able to take the Heat to 7. So I'm gonna say. No Clint Capella, Collins, Heat in 5. Yeah, I'm in there. It's Heat in 6, but Heat are winning no matter what. That's who I got. Jay.
So Heat in.
Jay.
Heat in.
All right. Heat in. I don't think John Collins is going to play. Capella. It's too early to tell with his injury, but I'm going to say Heat in 5.
Ooh,
I'm going to say Heat in 5. Okay. Jay. I want you to tell me, because I know you've been basically our resident Atlanta Hawks. I'm not gonna say Atlanta Hawks fan because I know you're not an Atlanta Hawks fan, but you've been our Atlanta Hawks believer in this
journey.
In this journey, yes, that's a good word. Tell me what you think. Tell me how you think the Hawks are getting out of this one if you think they are.
No chance, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah,
if she doesn't believe in the Hawks, no one should be believing in
the Hawks have had a good couple of seasons. Just the injuries to their front court.
Yeah.
John Collins and Clint Capella, that's too much to overcome. You throw them in this series, I could see the Hawks winning this in 7. I think just ultimately Trae Young's still the best player in this series. And that's more weapons they got at their disposal. Not to mention, I love that trio of wings added in Dylan Gallinari, but Kevin Huerter, DeAndre Hunter, and Bogdanovich, those guys, all 3 of them can fill it up. If 2 of them are hot, not even to mention all 3 of them get cooking, they're a serious team. I'm gonna go Heat in 6, just because I think any of those guys, they still got weapons. And that's without Clint Capella and without John Collins. I still think they can get 2. Maybe steal 1 on the road and definitely get 1 at home. But I just think it's too much to overcome the Heat and what they got going. But I'm still not sold on what the Heat can do in the playoffs in general. But for this series, I'm going to take them in 6.
Yeah, and I'm right there with you. Yeah, I definitely got Heat in 6, and I would really want to lean to Heat in 5, but this is where me doubting the Hawks in the past is gonna. I'm gone past those.
Giving them a game for it.
I'm giving them a game. I'm giving them a game.
A game just for Trae Young and a game for just insurance.
Exactly.
I like
man.
that.
All right. Well, look, guys, I think this is a good place for us to wrap it up here. God damn, y'all. And I mean, Jay, I know you're over here in the 6. Right now over here, I know me and Jen are in Cali right now. So right here, like we're like game time is at about 2.5 hours,
yeah,
Jay. So
2.5 hours.
So damn exciting, Jay. Let's get into playoff basketball. You heard it here first. This is our playoff prediction. I ain't got nothing else to say. You two, anything else to say, man?
Nah, man,
rock with us.
Ready to see.
Yeah.
Not just the playoffs, but just the clutch shot coverage throughout the playoffs.
Yeah.
Got to make sure to stick around and follow with that, because it's gonna be second to none. And this is a great episode to preview the playoffs. And I'm excited for what's more to come. And let's get into this, man. It's the best time for basketball.
Facts. Junior, appreciate you coming on the show as always.
Brother.
Love talking ball with you. And I think, it's going to be a great playoffs. Like Junior said, stick with us for coverage. We're going to be here trying to get to you as much as possible. With that being said, go Dubs. Playoff basketball is here, man. Dub Nation.
Nah.
I had to add that a little bit.
Let's do this, man. Let's do this slow. All right, y'all. We out here, y'all. Clutch Talk out.
Peace.